And welcome here to Versus Live again. I'm Ross Merriam. That's Todd Anderson. We got Rob over here in the booth. Say hi, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
Yes! He finally did it. Again.
He doesn't
explain the joke to me, so I got it.
Yeah. See, and people always make fun of me for explaining the joke, right? But it works. You learn something.
Works is a charitable term.
It literally just worked.
It got him to say it.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if that's equivalent to working.
Yeah, but this is all very funny as well. This whole exchange.
But mainly because of me.
Okay, well, what do we do today, boss man?
We're having a bit of a hoedown here on the...
A hootenanny.
No, it's a hoedown.
It's a Hogaak.
It's a Hogaak down.
Okay, tell us what's going on, man.
We are playing Hogaak all day because apparently the deck is busted. It's been 2 weeks, and nobody's really been able to consistently beat it. It's crushing everything. Here's
the thing. Legally speaking, this card has only been around in Modern for about 4 days since this past Friday. On Magic Online, there's been one event and then a bunch of leagues or whatever. But the tournaments that it has shown up in, it has completely crushed. Just completely. 10 out of top 32 in the Modern Challenge last weekend. First and second place in the challenge this past weekend, this last Saturday. And, I mean...
and third place, by the way.
And third place, wow. It also won the car event that was happening in Huntsville. There was a big 2-day event where the winner got a Mustang, and it won that one. So this deck looks, it's scary. I'm very scared.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time we've seen a situation like this where we've had a situation where we've had a couple weeks before a major paper event and a deck emerged in that time. You know, the busted Eldrazi deck emerged at the Pro Tour, and it took a couple of weeks. You know, people were working on it specifically for the Pro Tour. It didn't really emerge before then, and this one, people found it really quickly. You know, basically right as the set went live on Magic Online.
Yeah. And
have been talking about it ever since. And it has been crushing every tournament it's played in. Not a definitive sample of tournaments at this point, but, you know, for people who have been playing Magic for a long time, who have seen a lot of the broken decks that got cards banned in the past, this deck feels like it's on that level.
So there's a lot to be afraid of with this deck. Altar of Dementia plus Hogaak sometimes lets you go infinite by milling your whole deck, and then you get to turn around and mill your opponent's entire deck. That's mostly due to Bridge from Below creating a zombie every time you sacrifice it, so those zombies allow you to recast the Hogaak. Plus, milling 8 means you only have to delve 5 of those 8, plus the two zombies or whatever you make to bring it back. The fact that it's a kill condition for the deck that doesn't use the attack step and gives you kind of virtual haste with how you kill, as well as being a huge, powerful enabler for yourself, all wrapped into one makes it terrifying.
Yeah. Also lets you recover from graveyard hate effectively.
Yeah, it makes the one spot graveyard hate just embarrassing.
Yeah, and it lets you, you know, in the face of a Leyline or Rest in Peace, you can play your altar, play your grave crawlers and your carrion feeders, insolent neonates, all those cards. You can just play them out to the battlefield, and then when you find your answer, your Wisp Mare, your Nature's Claim, kill their Leyline or Rest in Peace, then immediately dump a bunch of cards in your graveyard.
Your Flamekin Harbinger that finds the Wisp-Mare.
Yeah, we got a cool list of Hogaak. This is the of Bridgevine. This is the list that won the challenge last weekend. We got a couple Flamekin Harbingers in the sideboard you'll see that can find Ingot Chewer or Wisp-Mare, depending upon which one you want. So it acts as effective extra copies of each, letting you sort of consolidate sideboard space. And then if you aren't worried about any graveyard hit, your opponent didn't draw it, and it just finds Vengevine, which is also an elemental.
Yes.
So sweet little innovation there, along with a couple Thalias, Guardian of Thrabians against the spell-based combo decks that might pop up to race you. I know Storm did well in a recent tournament. That's the kind of deck that can take advantage of the Bridgevine's lack of interaction. But the combination of speed, consistency, and resiliency is
staggering.
Yeah, mind-boggling in this deck. So we are going to put it to the test against 3 of the top decks in the format. We got Humans coming up first, and then we're going to have Azorius Control and Izzet Phoenix coming up in these latter 2 matches. These were basically the 3 top decks in the format, I would say, leading into Modern Horizons.
Yeah, with the exception of Modern just being a really diverse format, I feel like these were 3 kind of standing above the rest until Hogaak and the Arisen Necropolis showed up. So we're gonna put them up against the Hogaak deck and see if the Hogaak deck is the real deal. And I'm gonna tell you, I have either picked decks that looked very good or picked iterations that looked very good against the Hogaak deck, or specifically altered the sideboards and main deck configurations to be slightly better against Ross. So if you beat me today handily, like 3-0, I am going to call for at least 2 cards to be banned from the deck.
Okay.
That's the test.
Yeah.
First up, humans. Let's talk about my version a little bit. I have basically replaced Kite Shell Freebooter altogether. I think that the card is very good against very spell-heavy combo decks, but it's rather poor against most fair strategies that have a bunch of removal spells, and also not good against decks that are pretty heavy on creatures. I have been very underwhelmed by it over the entirety of the Humans deck existence, and I think Unsettled Mariner is a fine replacement. I think it's very good against the fair decks that are trying to interact with you, but it also just has these little side interactions of making discard spells cost 1 more because it says target you or a permanent you control. If they try to destroy your vial, cost 1 extra. Ghost Quarter you cost 1 extra. Like it. The moment that I played against it for the first time, when I was just playing Izzet Phoenix and I had to spend 2 mana or 3 mana to bolt Athalia, it was just like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, it is a subtly powerful card because of how wide-ranging the ability is.
Yeah.
But look at that ability and we think of humans, we immediately sort of restrict it in our heads to creatures.
Right.
But there's a lot of things that are targeting you. And if you play against a burn deck, every burn spell they send at your face, 1 more. If they try to kill it, 1 more.
Right. No, I think it improves a lot of matchups across the board. Another card that I want to try to get into the deck, but we have basically just made our deck a bit leaner, is Ranger Captain of Eos to just give you a little more explosiveness when you start hitting those vials on 3 turns. But I think that with just adding 2 more Horizon Canopy style lands to the deck, we just have a bit more gas as we go, and I'm going to try it out like this first. The 3-drop slot was always a bit clunky. You get stuck on 2 mana a lot, especially if your opponent is either killing Ether Vial or killing Noble Hierarch. So we have just gone full send on the 4 Unsettled Mariners to see how they play.
Yeah, I like that too, especially in a format like this that is gearing up to be pretty degenerate and incredibly fast because of the influence of Bridgevine. You need to lower your curve as the Humans deck as well. So to keep pace. So I like that. I think Ranger Captain is probably more suited as a sideboard card right now, where people use the sideboard Militia Bugler.
I actually think right now might be a great time for Kessig Malcontents because of how fast you need to be in some matchups. Especially when you're playing Unsettled Mariner, you're taxing your opponent's spot removal, so cards like Kessig Malcontents get better over time. And it might actually just end up being better than Ranger Captain. So we'll have to wait and see, though.
I'm in for some malcontents.
All right, well, let's go and play some Magic, huh? You wanna play some Magic?
Well, I get to be on the play, which is nice because I haven't won a day of Versus in like a month and a half. Oof. It's been a while.
I'm sorry, man.
But my decks are great today, so if I can't win today, like I don't know what I'm gonna do.
All right, I'm gonna.
Yeah, hands great.
Uh-oh. I have a 1-lander with vials, plural. I guess I keep.
Okay. I'm going to go to 17, get a Blood Crypt, and cast Stitcher's Supplier. So, mill 3, get the party started.
Yeah, I'm really hoping he whiffs a bit here, because our draw is... I mean, we could just, turn 1 Noble to guarantee a turn 2 Meddling Mage or Thalia, but there is no guarantee that either of those cards is even good enough on their own. And so we'll just wait and see what we draw, but... I really just want him to whiff some amount. Oh, 2 altars. That's really good.
So I'm at 17. You're up.
All right, I'm going to go to 19, and we'll just start with Vial since that produces the most mana over the first couple turns. Here we go. Vial's one of those cards that just gets insanely bad over if you don't play it on the first couple turns.
Let's... Crack Fetch, go to 16. Want to preserve my life total a little bit here, so I'll just get the basic Swamp. We don't really have any need for red mana. And I can freely attack for 1 with the supplier, so let's do that.
You're not Vengevining me?
Nope.
Do you just have another altar?
Yep. You're at 18.
Sure.
You can go.
Ruh-roh, Raggy. All right, let's just do another one. I'm at 17, your turn. I'm pretty sure, I'm not pretty sure. There's a very good chance I die this turn, which is, I'm just gonna do this.
Sorry, Todd, what's your life total?
I am at 17.
Supplier, mill 3.
Mm-hmm.
Sack the supplier I just cast. Mill for 1 plus the trigger, so mill 4.
Mm-hmm.
Sack this one, get a zombie, mill 4 total again.
Mm-hmm. If he had hit a Hogaak there, I was basically dead. If he has one in hand,
Polluted Delta, I've got a Bloodgast.
So you can bring that back.
Now,
target himself.
Yeah, let's organize the graveyard a little. We're at 2 bridges right now, 2 Vengevines. I've cast 1 creature, so next creature brings back Vengevines. So we're going to try to mill as much as we can before having to do that. So we've brought this back. I'm going to crack this, get 2 zombies, hold priority with the altar on the stack. Actually, there's no chance of me milling over all of my targets, so I might as well try to hit more Bloodgast here. So let's resolve the mill 2.
Sure.
Okay, another bridge is nice. Now we'll fetch.
So you're going to go to 13, or are you?
I'm going to fetch Shock because I have things to do with my mana.
Okay. So you're at 13.
Turn Bloodgast. I'm at 13.
It's turn 3. All he had in play was Altar and a Stitcher's Supplier. All he needs is a creature to bring back at least 2 Vengevines.
Sack this to mill myself for 2. Get 3 zombies now? Yeah, 3rd bridge.
Found another Bloodgast for next turn.
Gravecrawler, return 2 Vengevines.
This turn 3. And they tell me Stoneforge Mystic's too good. You know?
Sack it, get 2 more zombies, mill 2.
3 more zombies.
3 more zombies, sorry. I just need to find a Hogaak and then Todd's going to die.
Yeah, he can just like basically put me in a position I can't win.
3 more zombies, mill 2.
But if he just finds Hogaak, I actually die.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's the Hogaak.
So just do it for them.
Yeah.
Just at least for the first game. So he's going to cast
basically
Hogaak.
Everything can be done like this. We'll get 2 zombies, we'll mill 5 or
3 zombies.
dredge 5. Tap 2 zombies, delve 5.
There we
go. There we go.
Cast Hogaak.
Cast it again.
Yep. And
Yeah.
normally you want to mill yourself up, but I think you actually just have enough power to deck me right here. So
Yeah,
let's just check. So we got 4, 8, 16, 20, 4, 8, 30, 40, 40. You're at 46. So he can basically mill himself, make some more zombies.
But I get 3 zombies each from each of these, so that's another 6.
Oh,
for each
yeah,
of these.
yeah. So this is
64.
This is my deck.
Yeah. So now we just sack all these, get 3 zombies for each of these,
Great.
mill Todd out. Can recast the Hogaak too.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Hogaak plus Altar is a thing. It's not fun or good or
Yeah. Altar Dimension's kind of like Devoted Druid. Like when your opponent casts it on turn 2, you're like, oh, I'm probably going to die on turn 3. But you have 0 cards that remove it from the battlefield instead of like 12.
Okay, we're gonna. I don't really want to take a break because that was 3 minutes or whatever of my life. So let's do some sideboarding and talk to chat. How about that?
Sure.
I got Gravedigger's Cage and Horizon and Ravenous Trap.
Why are you bringing these cards in, Todd? Explain.
So they both say things that your opponent's graveyard goes away or stops working. The end. That's why I don't really want to cut the break because it's not very complicated.
Okay.
Just, brute force.
Todd's ways of stopping my graveyard are artifacts, so I'm going to bring in ways to kill artifacts and then a couple ways to kill creatures because his deck has lots of creatures in it.
Yeah. Unsettled Mariner is not really great in this matchup, but it does like kind of mess up Ingot Chewers maybe, but not really. So we are going to be trimming them because they're more for the fair matchups. Maybe I should trim like 2 Thalia too. But Thalia might be good on the play. Not 100% on that. I think we just want any type of interaction.
So, Todd, you had talked that you would, mess with these sideboards, kind of expecting Bridgevine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was there any thought to Yixlid Jailer?
Yeah, actually, I had 2 Yixlid Jailer and 4 Ravenous Trap, and then I decided that occasionally Jailer would just die to like Dark Blast or one of those. Like Humans already has a target on his head from these graveyard decks where they always want to play like Lightning Axe or Dark Blast or Necrotic Wound, and I felt like you would just give them some free ways to interact with your graveyard hate if you did that, whereas Trap and Cage are a little harder to interact with. I'm not sure if I want any Reflector Mages against you because you just have all these sacrifice outlets, huh? Thoughts? You should just cut all of them?
Yeah,
just leave in 2 Mariners to make it a little harder for you to interact with Cage? Maybe Deputy can clean up the zombies sometimes? What about that?
Mariner also interacts favorably with Altar, right?
Yeah, you're right. All right. I mean, it makes it hard for him. I mean, all he had to do, he didn't have to deck me that turn. If he just passed turn with 400 power on the battlefield, like I'm still just dead.
And a sack outlet so my zombies can't get deputied.
Yeah. Okay, we're just going to cut all the Reflector Mages and not bring in Deputy. We're going to cut 2 Mariners. Ross is bringing in Ingot Chewer and Flemkin Harbinger to find it. I think you should actually do this, like 1/1, because I know Dillingham for a while was a proponent of Leyline of the Void in the sideboard of this deck, but I don't know how widespread that is. But feel free not to, just so you can try to win the marbles. Look, next time I'm just sideboarding in the dark. I'm not showing you my deck lists.
We did that for a while. It was weird.
It was weird. All right, so we got 6 cards coming in. Gonna cut 2 Mariner and 4 Reflector Mage. Ross is still trying to cut one more card.
So I know the games are slowing down. I think Bloodghast gets a lot worse in games like that because it's not great in combat. And if I'm not returning, like if I don't care about returning it early, it's hard to return it late because I'm not Dredge. I don't have Loams. So I think Bloodghast is my worst creature, but I don't think I can cut like too much of any one thing.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to like trim down. I think that Hogaak's going to get named by Meddling Mage a lot, so I need to try to move away from it a little bit. I would normally try to cut the flex spots, but they're really good in this matchup in this list. The 2 Dark Blasts. So
yeah.
I don't really know what else I can cut. I don't think you can ever cut a Supplier, a Looting, or a Neonate because those are like your enablers. And I'm not. I guess I am bringing in Lightning Axe, so maybe I can cut Neonate.
I actually like cutting Neonate. I was going to suggest Neonate specifically. All right.
That's sort of like what I do with Dredge was I would cut Shriekhorn when I'm bringing in Lightning Axe. And I think Neonate is the worst enabler in this deck, so we'll do the same thing. It
is really good when you have a Vengevine or Bridge from Below heavy draw, but discarding a card to draw a card is not like that's not a real effect. All right, what we got?
We had a question about Lavinia Azorius Renegade as a possible sideboard card as well.
Hell yes. Forgot that one existed. That just shuts down.
As a human also.
Yeah, it's a human. It shuts down Hogaak, right? Just like counters it or whatever.
Each opponent can't cast non-creature spells with converted mana cost greater than the number of lands that player controls. Whenever an opponent casts the spell, if no mana was spent to cast that spell, counter that spell.
So it's specifically good against Hogaak. I guess it's also pretty good against like the suspend decks, like the balance decks and things like that. Good against Bloodbraid Elf. And it's definitely worth consideration.
Good against Tron.
Good against Tron, yeah. Okay. I'm in for at least a couple copies. Probably just better than Damping Sphere in general. I've always hated Damping Sphere in these decks.
It's good. It can stop Summoner's Pact against Amulet Titan.
Mm-hmm. Ross.
Yeah.
Ravarix wants to know, why not just play 4 Ingot Chewers instead of playing the Flamekin?
Because they also find Wismare when you need to kill enchantments. And if you don't need to... so it's sort of... Now I have 5 Wismares and 4 Ingot Chewers at the cost of only 7 spots in the sideboard. And if your opponent doesn't draw their hate card, or maybe you expected one like Rest in Peace or Leyline or Cage, but instead they had Ravenous Trap and Surgical, and you're wrong, then your Flamekin Harbinger can find Vengevine, which is also an elemental. So just a lot of versatility. It's a little bit slower, but I think it's worth it in small numbers.
Yeah, but if your opponent is hitting you with one of those big graveyard effects like Rest in Peace or Leyline, usually the games are a lot longer.
Yeah.
And so you have the time to sacrifice. And I like the versatility of Harbinger, where like sometimes you're not sure if your opponent has an artifact removal or a Leyline of the Void, because I think a Leyline of the Void is going to start seeing a lot more play in random sideboards that could play Grafdigger's Cage or Relic of Virginis or whatever. And just being able to bring in like 2 Harbingers, 1 Wismare, 1 Ingot Chewer just seems pretty fine to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay.
Yours is good?
Yeah, it's not as good as the last one.
I sure as hell hope not. All right. So my hand is very good. I think I just lead with Grafdigger's Cage over Champion of the Parish, just because I want to basically start playing 2-drops on 2 and not worry about the cage. But it does take away a bit of the pressure that I could draw. But if I do draw another 1-drop, then I can just go Champion into the other 1-drop, and that's fine as well. All right, I'm going to keep. Let's go Cavern Human. I think I'm just going to go ahead and play Cage.
Cliffs, Supplier. You can go.
Oh, we drew another 1-drop. So we'll go Champion.
It's pretty good. You're at 19.
Yep, here to go.
It's going to put me under quite a bit of pressure. Okay, good draw.
Ruh-roh. I feel like he's going to Ingot Chewer my cage and bring back a Gravecrawler this turn. The one downside of Cage is that it actually doesn't stop Bridge from below. Uh-oh.
Now let's get our Ingot Chewer and hope Todd doesn't have Meddling Mage. And just pass the turn.
I'll take a damage. So he can't really attack with the 2/2. I think he would gladly trade these. I can also, honestly, in this spot, this is kind of weird. I could just not attack. And then Stitchers can't reset the top of his deck. So, because the Ingot Chewer is currently on top of the deck, it's not in his hand. And so we can force him to have like 1 dead draw, which I kind of like. Because if we just attack with this, he's chumping. So I'm just going to say go. We're not actually doing any damage because we don't want to attack with the 2/2 champion.
You're up. You're at 17.
Any responses?
Nope.
Okay, so this one's on Ingot. This one can name Lightning Axe. We can just name like random ways for him to discard Bridge so he doesn't get a bunch of free Bridge triggers and tokens and such. I don't know. What would you name?
I think I would just name Ingot Chewer again.
Just in case you kill the first one?
Yeah.
What about just naming Lightning Axe? Just because, or how many do you play? Usually like 2?
I have 2. Lists have anywhere from 2 to 4.
All right.
But
Yeah,
2 is
we'll
probably
just name
the most
Ingot Chewer again because I know it's in your hand, and if you kill one, I just...
Like it could have Dark Blast. Okay, I think the only way we win this game is with some ridiculous number of bridges. So let's block there and take 3. 17 all. Mill myself for 3.
Okay, your turn.
Okay, there's 1 bridge. It's probably not enough. It's a good draw. Faithless Looting.
Sure.
Wow.
In response, I'm going to trap you.
Okay. Cage, Mage, Trap.
Yeah. Look, you signed up to play this deck. This is not my fault. You killed me on turn 3 last game.
Fair is fair, right?
Fair is fair.
hand and pass the turn, I guess. I've seen lists with the Blasphemous Act in their sideboard. Kind of wish I had.
That's nice.
Kind of wish I had one of those right now.
Yeah.
Playing
that sounds
Commander
sweet.
over here.
Playing Commander. All right, so he's got 3 cards in hand. We know one's Thinking Chewer. What happens if we just shove with everything? And I'm definitely going to Phantasmal Image or Thalia here. I'm not sure which is best.
Well, you can't cast Image, right? Unless you have a.
Oh, you're right. So I guess that makes sense. All right.
You get a 16.
4 and a 3, and let's shove. 3 of his bridges are gone, so even if he's able to deal with all this stuff, like if my melee mages die and then he cages or kills Cage with Ingot Chewer, it just doesn't matter. I'm just trying to kill him before things get too far gone.
Double block one of the mages.
Take 9, 11. You're
You're
at
at
6. Your turn.
Lightning
all.
Axe. Okay. Even if this was Lightning Axe, I go pitch Vengevine, kill the other meddling mage, Ingot Chewer the Cage, play Crawler, get back Vengevine, and I'm dead. Yeah, so that wasn't even a winning line. Because I block here, take 6.
No, you kill this. Oh, yeah.
'Cause I have to kill that to cast the Chewer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, a little bit too much hate there.
Yeah, melee mage on the thing, Grafdigger's Cage, and Trap. And that's kind of the thing about the busted graveyard decks all throughout the history of Magic, is that if people want to react to it by playing 6, 8, or more anti-graveyard cards, they can. But the problem is it just makes for unfun Magic.
Yeah.
And that's why people kind of lean on banning things sometimes, because no one should have to play 8 ways to exile the graveyard or whatever in their sideboard. That just puts way too much pressure on sideboards to do heavy lifting, and it makes it so you're not actually playing Magic. You're literally just like mulliganing until you find one of those anti-graveyard cards.
And then hoping that it's enough.
Yeah, and then hoping it's good enough. Like, if I didn't have the Meddling Mage on Ingot Chewer and the Ravenous Trap, there's a chance I would have lost that game. I kind of needed all 3.
Well, it's kind of like the thing in Modern is you need both the hate and the pressure.
Right.
One or the other, it might not have been enough.
Yeah. The control decks get away with it because they kind of sculpt how the game goes pretty easily with counter spells and whatnot, but...
Okay.
Uh-oh. I might keep a bad one. Let's see what you do first.
Might keep a bad one, too. Keep.
I think I can mulligan this one pretty safely. We're basically banking on double champion here to do a lot of the heavy lifting, and I think we would just get smushed if Ross has a pretty good draw. I needed a land to be able to play a Thalia or a Meddling Mage to have some piece of interaction. Unfortunately, there was a land on top. I do keep hands like that a lot with this deck, but I think in this particular matchup with Cages and Ravenous Traps, if I'd had a Cage or Ravenous Trap in the hand, I 100% keep. Because I have pressure and a hate card, but with just pressure, I don't think you can keep a one-lander. It's just too risky. What you got for me, Robbo?
Kind of an interesting one here. T Ruble 56 says, I am a standard player thinking about playing Modern. Will playing Modern help make me a better standard player?
Sure.
I think playing any type of Magic will make you a better Magic player, and eventually that can translate to other formats.
Yeah, it just gives you a different set of skills because Modern stresses things that Standard often doesn't. It'll make you better whenever sort of a little bit more linear decks pop up in Standard. And any sort of engine kind of deck. A deck like Is It Phoenix, even in Standard, plays a little bit more like a Modern deck than most Standard decks. I have a Black Blue Cliffs.
Okay. All right. Cage, your turn. This is human, obviously.
Yeah.
Let's play Unsettled Mariner to make it a little harder to interact with my Cage.
You're at 19. Go.
go to 18. Play Thalia.
Yep.
Back for 2.
18 all.
Your turn. This will make it just a little more taxing if he wants to kill Mariner or Cage. But
Cool.
it's like Ross kept a really weird bad one.
Also drawn all lands.
Okay. Same. Human again. I'm going to attack for 4.
Dark Blast Thalia.
Okay.
I go to 16.
This is actually pretty good for me. So let's play another Cage, and let's play Meddling Mage. I'm going to take 1. And I'm trying to figure out what the most devastating card here could be. And with Ross's really slow draw, I actually think just naming Faithless Looting here is probably my best bet, because that gives him a bunch of redraws. Like, he can turn his hand into real stuff. I don't think much else is really all that damning with the 2 Cages. And Faithless Looting is even not that scary. So I was saying Faithless Looting.
Okay. So you're at 17, I'm at 16?
Yeah.
You can go.
Now, I'm going to lose my Lieutenant, but this will protect my Meddling Mage from an upkeep Dark Blast, Dredge Dark Blast, so we're going to play it.
Which one of these do I want to double Dark Blast?
Oh, sorry, yeah. Probably the Meddling Mage.
Yeah, I have enough mana. And
Yeah,
Looting would be a
Mariner's
really good
doesn't
draw.
seem that good right now. All right, so you pay for the Dark Blast. I'm going to attack for 3.
13.
Your turn. This is one of those games where we both have a bunch of, like, anti-interaction, but neither of our plans are overly proactive.
You're listening.
Yeah, but I think in that scenario, I'm actually
You can go.
reasonably advantaged. Another Canopy. So we'll go ahead and crack it. I think I'm okay with him just dredging Dark Blast again, so let's just do this.
You're at 16.
Attack for
I'm at
4.
9.
Your turn.
Yeah, at this point, I'm falling too far behind. So maybe... What do I need to find to win this game? I only have 2 Ingot Chewers in the deck, so I literally can't kill both Cages because I
Yeah.
milled 1. So I'm not getting out of Cage here. So things I put in my graveyard aren't really doing a whole lot.
The Dark Blast can find Bridge, but then it kind of is counterintuitive.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I could take 1 more turn off. Probably not. Let's draw.
Okay,
Stitcher Supplier.
seems pretty good.
Really wouldn't like those lootings.
Yeah.
Pass the turn. Yep.
Mantis Rider.
I'm dead.
Attack.
Don't have a lot of ways to defend against Mantis Rider. I'm just not going to have the time. So we have to block here, take 5, go to 4, mill for 3. Yeah. And that's all our lootings. That
Trap. Trap you just cuz. Your turn.
Okay, Bridge from below.
You got Nature's Whismare on it?
No. I'm dead.
Okay.
So, early Graveyard Hate, still good.
Early Graveyard 8 plus a pretty fast clock. I mean, even in the face of multiple Dark Blasts, I was able to kind of apply a significant amount of pressure. Mariner wasn't that taxing, but if you had been a little lighter on lands, it would have been really taxing to those Dark Blasts each turn.
Yeah, I probably have to mulligan more aggressively in the post-board games.
Yeah, you didn't really do much, and I had the Cage on, like, early on or whatever, but, like,
Yeah,
you didn't,
I had Dark Blast Altar with some lands and figured I would just, like, buy some time with the Dark Blast, but then never really found an answer to the cage at all. Just drew a bunch of lands and no creatures. And I figured, like, if you were mulliganing, like, I had Altar, which is really good against Trap. Lets you rebuild pretty easily, but I just didn't draw the creatures to fuel it. Granted, I've boarded out a good number of creatures in the post-board games.
It's only 135. You want to try to get 2 more in?
Yeah, sure.
Do a best of 5. Maybe you can win 2 more post-board games with some, good draws.
Ross, question from the chat: why are you playing things like why are you playing Ingot Chewer instead of playing a card like Shenanigans?
Because Ingot Chewer can get around, or combos well with Flamekin Harbinger and goes well with our own bridges, so there's some synergy. I think having 1 Shenanigans in the deck is definitely pretty reasonable because it's a card that you can mill into. But this list, I think, is going for the answers to hate that have some synergy. I think Cage is one of the least popular pieces of Graveyard Hate right now, although I think it's a very underrated piece of Graveyard Hate in this matchup specifically. So I don't think like preparing for Cage was much lower on the list of priorities than preparing appropriately for Leyline and Rest in Peace. And Shenanigans is really at its best against Cage.
Yeah. Shenanigans also gives you a lot of play against like a Bridge from Below deck. Or not Bridge from Below, Staring Bridge deck. They often have stuff like Pithy Needle or Sorcerer Spyglass that they can use to name your Altar of Dementia, and then you have to win through combat, and that's impossible against a Bridge. But if you have Shenanigans every single turn, you can potentially get out of something like that.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, I don't think I can reasonably mulligan this.
All right.
So it's fetch for a Blood Crypt, going to 17, play an Unate, pass the turn.
Also, if you had to ban a card from the Bridgevine deck, what would you choose to ban?
If I could only ban one, I would ban Altar. I think Altar is just egregious.
Same.
Not the greatest hand in the world. I'm gonna just play this and name Human and say go.
So I'm trying to play around Trap as best I can. So on the end step, I'm going to pop this and get my zombie now. This also attacks for an extra point of damage. Only puts 2 cards in the graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
Draw. Attack for 2.
18.
Altar.
Sure.
You can go.
That's a pretty good draw. Go. Kind of throws me off curve a little bit because of the 2 drops, but I think it's good to just go ahead and get it down while I can. Now that he's already established Altar.
Don't think there's any reason for me to rush anything, so let's attack.
16.
Evoke Ingot Chewer.
Sure.
Kill the cage, get a zombie when it dies. And pass the turn.
We'll play Meddling Mage. I guess I will name Lightning Axe.
Yep.
Your turn. Maybe I should name Hogaak. Something like that. I don't know.
Ross,
Yeah.
chat brought up a possible play here. It's possible to sack the Ingot Chewer to the Altar before the Evoke trigger resolves, correct?
Oh, true. That
It
does
is.
leave me vulnerable to
Ravenous Trap.
Ravenous Trap, though.
Yeah.
Sure.
It would also let me trap before the bridge ability resolves, and you specifically need to have the bridge in the graveyard upon resolution to get the zombie.
But it's definitely something to be aware of, and another reason to play cards like Ingot Chewer.
Yeah, and Wispmare.
Yeah.
Does toughness or power?
Power.
Okay.
Attack.
Block. So we get rid of a bridge, which is nice. Forces him to basically
14.
reload. Mm-hmm.
I think I'm fine with doing that rather than sacking to the altar. I think this game's going to be long because my hand is not great at this point. Pass.
I feel like we're going to get hit with a lightning axe here, but I think I just want to go ahead and get this and start attacking.
You are indeed right. Let's axe pitching Bridgevine.
Yikes. Go.
Attack for 2.
12.
Play Blackleaf Cliffs. Pass.
Let's tap Pop Canopy. Let's Cavern on Human, play Vile. Your turn.
You have 3 cards.
4.
It's 3 Ravenous Reps? What are you just not casting?
What if I kept a 4-lander and drew 3 more lands?
Okay, well, that was a good one, although we're probably getting trapped. Looting?
Sure.
Trying to play around trap here. Play this. Play Gravecrawler.
Sure.
Maybe I didn't do a very good job of this. Yeah, I feel like I did not do a good job of this. Crack fetch.
Here it is.
I'm going to end up going to 14.
Okay, I'm at 12.
No, I can't do it this way. This doesn't make any sense. Okay.
So you're at 17.
Yeah. I can't crack that because I need the mana for Gravecrawler to get back this Bridgevine. I don't know anything in my decks. We're good. I guess I should have thought if there was like a good way for me to play around trap instead of trying to initially. I don't think there was with where my hand was. So let's just sack this and mill myself for 2. Would you like to trap me?
Kinda. Think about it.
Yeah, so
It's like snag the grave card before you can recast it. So
Yeah.
I think I'll just go ahead and do it.
now I get to mill 2.
Yep.
That's good. Now I'll fetch.
So you go to 14.
Now I'll go to 14.
Okay.
And where are you? Flashback looting.
You have 1 card in hand?
Yep.
Okay.
Draw 2. Let's keep this one. Discard looting bridge. Attack for 2.
10.
Pass. Got another trap.
Yeah, I'm going to trap you again.
Not much we could do about that, but we still have altar and
Go.
neonate.
Yep.
You can go. Don't think there's any reason to go fast here.
You're really seeing the strength of these canopy lands right now. We've drawn 3 of our 6, and they're putting in a lot of work. Noble, attack for 3.
I'll go to 11.
So 11 to 10 right now.
Yep.
I'm gonna go ahead and Vile.
Yeah.
Melee Mage. I think there's a good chance that Ross's last card is like Hogaak or something. So I'm just going to name Hogaak the Arisen Necropolis. Your turn. It's like also something I can't really beat just sitting on the battlefield because I don't have any Reflector Mages left in my deck.
Should I just cast this?
33 is pretty big. So I mean, it doesn't get through this though, so Maybe not. I mean, you get to mill 3 as well, which might be good.
But I think I can just slow play it, right?
Sure.
Maybe not. Like if you just like draw a cage, I'm dead.
You're not dead. You've only gone through 1 bridge. Or no, I think you went through 2 bridges.
Yeah, let's go faster. Let's evoke.
In that deck, I think you always just go fast.
Yeah, the evoke trigger on the stack will sack this to altar and mill myself for 3. That's a little awkward.
Counting lands out of blood crypts. Got 1 Godless Shrine left or not?
I have 1 Godless Shrine left. It's just that this is the last card in my hand. So I'm not going to be able to bring back Vengevines, even though I've already cast a creature here. Like Vengevine's going to be tough to bring back. This is on a Hogaak, so...
I mean, you didn't... I don't know if you needed to even do anything with the Ingot Chewer that turn. I mean, you're at 11.
You were the one telling me to do it.
No, you already evoked it. And then you were talking about cast it or...
No, I was thinking about casting it.
Well, hard cast... I said you should hard cast it. Let's go back and check the tape.
You said in this deck you should always go fast. That means...
I think.
That means evoking and sacking.
I mean, if you're... What's your last card? Is
A land. It's a fetch land. So I can get back Bloodgas. I could also hit like bridges and sack the Neonate or whatever. I've got 2 bridges left in my deck. Which would be pretty good.
I mean, I would probably go Bloodgas, sack it, fetch Bloodgas, and then you could just hit a Gravecrawler and a Vengevine or something.
So we'll bring this back. Sack, put this on the stack. So if I hit the last Godless Shrine, I get destroyed, but if I hit another Bloodghast, I've cut 2 Bloodghast though, so I actually only have 1 of each. I'm just going to do it with the activation on the stack and make sure I get this.
You're at 10.
Oh, would have hit exactly Gravecrawler Vengevine.
Well, remind me to cut your deck in a second. Okay, so you mill 2. Bloodghast is back.
Let's very carefully not change the top card of my deck.
Yeah.
You got 1 in hand?
I have 1 card in hand.
Yeah, this is getting very awkward very quickly.
Can make a lot of really uncouth jokes right now.
We're both at 10.
That's what I got. Mill 2.
One cut.
I was just joking, but all right.
Sure.
I'm just going to cut you to the nets.
I already shuffled away the nuts.
It's true. It's true. That's way worse than Vengevine Gravecrawler. Attacking?
I think I want to sack and mill 2 more.
I mean, what are you trying to hit right this moment?
Gravecrawler. Gravecrawler lets me mill a bunch.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. Dark Blast and a bridge. That's not bad. You can't do the Neonate with no cards in hand, though, right?
Correct.
Would you another Canopy, but let's go ahead and pop it.
One more turn, I think, is all I need.
I think he's just not going to block. So I think I want to attack with... Do I attack with both? I'm at 10, you're at 10.
Yeah.
If I attack with both, the most he can get is 1 zombie on a chump with a Neonate, but I don't think he's going to do that. He has the altar, so he can always just sack the Neonate no matter what. I think I attack with both. So I don't really want to block with Thalia. Try to kill you.
Like I could block Meddling Mage and hope to like find Hogaak at some point and just like throw away the bridge.
Oh, this is naming on Hogaak, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm just
I think the attack for both, it just incentivizes me to make this trade and then just Dark Blast the Thalia.
Yeah.
And like use Dark Blast to find Hogaak.
Let's just attack with this.
Though I'm going to have a hard time actually. If I throw this away, then I don't have a zombie to cast Gravecrawlers from my graveyard. So I might have a hard time actually casting the Hogaak.
Yeah.
But if you want to attack for 3, I'll go to 7.
Okay. And post-combat, I'm going to play a Phantasmal Image. And if I name Instant Neonate, I can sack it to get rid of his bridge now unless he wants to sack Neonate to alter to make 1 zombie. But I get to turn this planes into a spell, potentially. So I'm going to name Neonate, and I'm going to sack it, discarding the land.
It's really good.
Okay. I think you should Neonate Alter, but I don't know. I mean, I don't want to...
It's worth a zombie, whereas this is worth a Dredge 3.
Sure.
I think the Dredge 3 is worth more.
Your turn. Yeah, I could have Phantasmal Image on Dark Blast, or on Melee Mage naming Dark Blast, and that would have potentially been a little bit better, but getting rid of the bridge I thought was pretty important in the face of that Bloodghast. This is a good game.
Yeah, definitely a good one. Let's pass.
What do you got back? Dark Blast?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm going to try to win this game with Bridgevine, so I really... That's pretty good.
You want to have Dark Blast this in response? Probably should. Represents the most pressure.
I think you just attack with everything now.
Yeah, I think so too.
Which means I don't... Oh, you mean the champion.
What did I say?
I thought you were pointing at this initially just to get in for 4, but I think I need the card in hand so I can block with Neonate and get another Dredge in.
Well,
so...
Oh, because you discard Dark Blast, Dredge, Dark Blast, then cast it?
Yeah.
Okay. Trigger.
Yep.
Alright, so this is 100% coming. And if I only attack with that, it puts him to 3. Or, I guess, Dark Blast can put him to 4. And he's potentially give himself 2 turns to not die. If I attack with everything, that lets Meddling Mage potentially die this turn. If he blocks here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he'll probably go like chump here, do the Dark Blast on this, EOT, and dredge it again. And he'll take 5. So the difference between 4 and 5, I mean, losing Meddling Mage, because he's almost 100% going to do the Neonate anyway. So I'm just going to attack for 4 flying. I don't know if that's 100% correct, but I don't think I want to lose my Meddling Mage. So maybe it's actually better if I do this and just not attack with Meddling Mage. How about that? What does that look like? So this is 7, so you have to block something. So you can jump here, maybe trade, discard, take 3. Is that good? I guess I just lower your overall creature count for convoking Hogaak and stuff if you do end up being able to kill this. So yeah, let's do that.
Block there. Sack here. Discard Dredge 3.
Yep. So found a Hogaak.
Dark Blast here.
Are you sure you want to do that instead of double Dark Blasting this on?
I think so, because if I don't have creatures, I can't Hogaak anyway. I need the zombie to be able to hit Gravecrawler.
Sure. Okay, so your thing survives. You take 3.
Yeah, I'm at 4.
Your turn.
And now I need to hit Gravecrawler, finally, off of this Dredge. Dead.
Yep. Oh, no. Not technically dead, actually. So I just attack with this, you Dark Blast this, take 3. If I attack with these, you Dark Blast this, block this, take 3. You technically have one more turn, but you're going to lose your zombie.
Okay. Not sure what I can draw. I guess I can draw Stitcher Supplier?
Maybe. Nice drew land. So, and then, so you Dark Blast this, trade with this, so I just attack with this, I think, because... Oh, wait, no, because I want to get the zombie off the battlefield, because you have no cards. So let's do everything.
So block there, Dark Blast the Thalia. These trade, I go to 1.
Yep. And...
Now I need to draw a Stitcher Supplier.
Pull my land. Your turn.
How many suppliers I got? I see 1 there in the graveyard. And I see... 0 there, so I got 3. Ooh. My... 10, 15, my 20 card deck. 3 out of 20. Or Bloodstained Mire.
Yeah. You have no more fetchable lands?
I believe I do not.
You only have the 1 Bloodghast?
Yep. I don't know. Roll myself for 2.
Okay.
There's the grave crawlers.
Yeah, and if I think we might have.
I actually can't even crack the mire anyway.
Oh, you're one. So, funny story, if I had not attacked with the Meddling Mage last turn, I think he could go Gravecrawler Sack, Gravecrawler Hogaak, mill his whole deck, find the last bridge, maybe delve Hogaak enough to actually deck me with just the one zombie in the altar.
It's possible.
Yeah, with the Gravecrawler. I was fading the Gravecrawler for multiple turns. That was sick.
To fade the Gravecrawler, I think I probably played one too many lands because I ended up like short on cards in hand.
Mm-hmm.
It's like just an extra card in hand might have been enough to help me out and give me more versatility with what I did with the Neonate.
There was I think you ended with what, 6 lands or something, but the 6th one brought back a Bloodghast twice, but the 5th land allowed you to Faithless Looting, cast Gravecrawler, flashback Faithless Looting, all in one turn. So I don't think it was that bad. The game just went super long.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What do you got for me, Rob? Any questions about this matchup or the Hogaak deck or
Stas
Humus
wants
deck?
to know on a busted scale of 1 to 10, 10 being Eldrazi, Winter, how good is Hogaak?
The thing with Eldrazi was that it was both busted and not like super linear. Like, it was an aggro deck, but it's not a deck like this where you can bring in Grafter's Cage and like they have to find an answer to it, or their deck is pretty well neutered.
Yeah, it's attacking on an axis that is reasonably easy to interact with if you try hard enough, right? Like you saw that game. Like I had 2 Ravenous Traps in a cage and no pressure, and it just slowed you down enough that I was eventually able to turn all these extra lands that I drew into spells via the Horizon Canopy mechanic.
Yeah,
and eventually find a way to win. And that's not something you could ever do against Eldrazi. They literally just always had a turn 2 big monster, turn 3 big monster, and if they're the colorless version, sometimes they also had a turn 1 Chalice of the Void or something, So that deck was scary, and this one is also really scary. But at the very least, you can just pack 8. 4 Leyline of the Void, 4 Rest in Peace or whatever if you really want to, and it becomes a lot harder for them to actually function.
Yeah. And even in the games where the game where Todd didn't have Grafdigger's Cage, the fact that I had to cut down on several of the creatures in the deck meant my altar was a lot worse at recovering from trap. So I'm wondering if I need to sideboard differently and like have more of those creatures to be better against trap. It's definitely a tough deck to sideboard with. It's not as simple, I think, as a Dredge, where you really just need to answer it and go. Because it's a little bit more fluid between what exactly the enablers are. Because Altar is an enabler that depends on you having creatures in the battlefield. So you can't cut a lot of creatures because then you lose out on one of your enablers.
Yeah.
So maybe you need to cut down on some of your other enablers. Maybe Vengevine isn't as good. But I've liked Vengevine in this matchup specifically because you usually target Hogaak with the Meddling Mage. You have ways to deal with Bridge. You saw with your images doing weird stuff, or just getting into combat. And so Vengevine is a card that can actually let me win combat that isn't Bridge or Hogaak.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I like the Vengevine version the best, and I think it's become the de facto version of the deck, whereas last week people were still toying with things like Stinkweed Imp and Cathartic Reunion and stuff, and now it's literally just all 4 of all the major pieces, including Vengevine and Citrus Supplier and Insulin Neonate, because that backup plan of just bring back a couple of Vengevines is still really powerful, and it also just has a really nice fluidity with the rest of the archetype, because sometimes you just bring back 2 Vengevine and they'll let you cast Hogaak because they're both green, and part of the casting cost is green with the Convoke. So a lot of really cool, interesting stuff going on with the deck. Obviously, as a graveyard-based deck, it is difficult to win game 1. But as you saw after sideboard, 6 graveyard-related interaction pieces, a couple other means of disruption, whether it's Dahlia, Meddling Mage, Unsettled Mariner, whatever. Occasionally, a little too much for the deck to deal with, especially because you have to dilute your deck so much. And I think that's the key for any Hogaak player or anyone wanting to play the Hogaak deck in general is going to be figuring out how best to sideboard against all of these hate cards.
Yeah, and if you do it correctly, you're going to be a little bit more fluid in answering them. If you don't, then you're going to answer their hate card like I did in game 3, where I answered a cage, and then not really do much of anything. The 2 traps sort of got me. It was always the second piece of hate that really backed it up. So The second one is really tough, and maybe I just have to stop trying to play around it at all.
I mean, I think if you had just forced me to pop the traps a little sooner, that I think you then, once you get through the second trap, then your altar is basically unlocked, and you weren't losing a ton from playing into the first trap because I wasn't actually pressuring you. I don't think you would have lost a bridge to the first trap until I think you cast Faithless Looting and discarded a bridge, and that was like the first time you really exposed yourself to trap. But I think it's just, as the Hogaak player, you just need to be cognizant of when to play around stuff, and honestly, when you should overextend slightly to kind of force their hand to play the hate card, like pop the relic, cast the Ravenous Trap. That way, you're free for the rest of the game,
Yeah. The way I played it, I sort of slow played it a little bit early, and then got down to the point where I drew a couple lands in a row, and not creatures like I wanted to, and then was sort of forced to play into it anyway. Mm-hmm. So I'd played into it earlier, probably would have made it easier to recover, and instead just gave you time to cycle through all those extra lands you drew with all the Horizon lands, instead of putting a little bit more pressure on you to recover from your own kind of weak draw on your own side that was pretty heavy on Ravenous Traps.
I'll say this. I think that you could probably side out more Bloodghast and leave in the Gravecrawlers, because I felt like in a lot of spots you just wanted to hit Gravecrawler, and at any point at the end of that game, if you just hit Gravecrawler, you could start milling me for 12 cards a turn if you want. If that's like the bottom of what you can do. And in that scenario, if you would ever hit a Gravecrawler, you could just go mill myself, find Hogaak, cast it, mill myself 8, find the bridge, cast it, mill you 8, and that would have been game. I would have just lost, and that's, to me, much more impressive than the fact that it ended up getting 3-1s. There were multiple spots where if I just made the wrong play, or if I put you in a slightly better position by not attacking in one way, or definitely attacking in the other way, you could have come out on top, and it could have been at least a 2-2 split after sideboard in a very hateful, pressure-filled matchup.
Yeah, definitely something to look out for. Maybe you just need to cut all the Bloodghast in this matchup. Bloodghast is typically pretty weak against decks that flood the board with creatures anyway.
Yep.
So that's definitely a way to go. We could have had the extra Gravecrawler in the deck and an extra Neonate or something like that to help out, and that probably would have been better than the Bloodghast, which really are cards that are at their best when your deck is humming, and the post-board games your deck isn't going to hum. Right,
because Grafdigger's Cage is specifically good against those creatures that get returned from the graveyard, so cutting down to just the 4 Gravecrawlers, it might seem like, my altars are a bit worse, and my nut draws of Faithless Looting, Pitch, Bloodghast earlier are a bit worse, but that's okay, because your opponent is going to be on top of the graveyard, basically starting from turn 2 almost in every matchup.
Yeah, definitely. And if they aren't, you're probably going to win even without your best draws.
All right, well, what's up next?
We have Azorius Control coming up next.
Yeah, so Azorius Control actually ended up winning the first Modern Challenge. It actually got 5th place in the most recent Modern Challenge on Magic Online. I'm going to be playing McWin Sauce's version. That's a pretty interesting name.
Yeah, we got some main deck Surgical, some sideboard Rest in Pieces, but pretty typical Azorius Control list. Mm-hmm. Definitely one of the decks that has been able to compete in this couple weeks of Hogaak-dominated Modern. And I think it's done so in part because it can easily play a good amount of hate, but also because a deck like it benefits from how narrow the metagame becomes when there's a degenerate deck that everyone's targeting. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about decks like Tron that just aren't around right now. Sure. So you're able to focus your control deck to the few decks that are seeing play, and that helps that strategy out a lot.
All right. Anything else before we move on, Mr. Robbo?
We had one question you'd mentioned earlier. Updraft Elemental wanted to know, why didn't you play Ranger Captain of EOS?
So I think Ranger Captain is going to lend itself to formats that are a lot more grindy. If your opponents are more on the spectrum of playing decks like Jund, Abzan, control decks like Jeskai, you want more cards that generate 2-for-1s. But in a format full of decks like Hogaak or decks trying to basically just run you over really quickly in like a linear way and in a different angle you might not be able to pressure. I think it's important for you to just be faster. And if I was going to play another 3-drop in the deck, I think actually Cassock Malcontents is the one I would be leaning on right now because it allows for those explosive kills that don't use the combat step. And it also just gives you a lot of potential burst damage with the 4 Phantasmal Images. And so we're already playing Unsettled Mariner, so it's going to be a little more taxing for your opponent to try to actually kill your creatures, which also makes Cassock Malcontents a little bit better as you go. So, there's definitely some ways you can build this version of the deck. I actually really like the way that it flowed there. I flooded out that game, and I literally drew 4 of my 6 Horizon lands and was able to turn them into spells, which allowed me to just continually interact, even though I was flooding. I also kept my curve low, so I was able to a lot of times just pop my my land and then still cast a 2-drop.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what I would cut for the other 3-drops. I really like how tight this list looks with the Mariners. So you're gonna have to do some convincing to get me to change anything really, because this deck was humming.
Okay, we are going to take a short break, and we will be back with match 2 here on the Versus Series Hoedown.
Hootenanny.